Hello?
Hello, can you see me?
I cannot see you, but I can see your amazing work.
Yeah, it's point. Hi, honey. Glad to see your face. Let me see if I can figure out. This never happened before. I want you to see me, not my. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this.
Okay,
Mhm.
so where you can see yourself, there's like two arrows.
No, I've done this before, and this has never happened. I want the front camera, not the back camera.
Okay,
Or
so where you can see
oh yeah,
yourself.
wait. Ah,
Oh yeah,
that was easy. That was so easy.
it,
Okay,
it was. So hello there, and your amazing face. There you go.
here we are,
Here we
face to
are.
face,
Yes.
digitally.
Yes, our next one needs to be live.
That well, since we're both in the same city, I would love that. I would
Exactly.
absolutely love that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this today.
It is my pleasure.
Okay, so we start with a little introduction. I'm gonna leave this part for you so you can say what you want to say.
Okay. So I'm not sure what you want me to talk about. Give me a hint. There's so much to talk about. So just guide me on to what topic you want me to start with.
Okay, well, I'm so the whole life is about you. So this is about your story. So we're gonna
Okay.
talk a little bit about how you actually got into to art, because
Okay.
I've read like your whole like bio and stuff, and you've done loads of things from teaching to cooking, like on television and writing cooking books and all that. So, like, give us a small introduction of
Sure. Yeah.
yes.
It's listen, I'm 81 years old. I have had a long life. My life is continuing very nicely. Thank you very much. Touch wood. So a lot of things have happened to me in my life. I started off as a classical musician and then a school teacher, and there were real adventures while I was a school teacher. Helped to integrate the Atlanta school system. The Atlanta school system had been integrated, and anybody who's old enough to remember, it had sort of nominally been integrated. They had that brave little girl surrounded by policemen and Secret Servicemen who was the first little kid to enter a black school, and there were screaming white supremacists all around. They even had it's terrible, they had a big poster with a photograph of this little girl in a coffin. And this was way back, I would think, in the late 50s. And the little girl went to school. They said, okay, we're integrated. But they weren't integrated. The schools were still completely segregated. So the year I got to Atlanta, which was in the very early 60s, they decided there were laws about it. They had to integrate for real. So the year I came, first I was in New York teaching, always in, you didn't even think about integration in New York. All the schools were mixed. And then I was in Cambridge, Massachusetts teaching. When my husband was going to MIT for a PhD, I applied for a job. Um, no, when he finished his PhD, we went to Atlanta because he got a great job at Emory University, and I applied for a job. So
Mhm.
they were mixing the faculty, not the children. They were starting by mixing the faculty. So in an all-black school with an all-black faculty, there I went. I have to say they were incredibly nice to me. They didn't have to be. They didn't have to welcome a white teacher with open arms, and they did. I will never forget their kindness. And it would take me all day to tell you about everything that happened to me there. And I kept on teaching until I went on maternity leave. And I was told by various stupid gynecologists that I would never get pregnant. Guess what? I got pregnant. And that my son is just about to turn 50, so I'm talking about a long time ago. And I took maternity leave. But a lot of things that happened to me in my life were sort of accidental. I
Mhm.
loved cooking. And what did I have to do? I was gestating a baby. I wasn't working. I cooked and I cooked and I cooked and I cooked. And somebody came to one of my dinner parties, a group of people. One of those ladies wrote cookbooks for a big publisher, wrote to her publisher, you want to write a cookbook? Yeah, sure, I'll write a cookbook. And that was the beginning of it went on for decades, career in the food business, including writing 27 cookbooks, cooking on television, traveling around the world. It was great. I was always very passionate about cooking and about teaching, and I was still teaching. But, we moved to the UK almost 40 years ago. So I
Mm.
spent almost half my life here in the UK.
How come
And,
you moved to the UK?
well, my husband, he was a professor at Emory University. He
Mhm.
was offered a position as a research fellow at Cambridge University. And you don't take that lightly. You don't really turn it down. So we said, okay, we'll try it. We'll try it for 2 years. And we moved. We rented our house. We didn't sell our house. I found a fantastic house 12 miles outside of Cambridge. Everything in Cambridge was so expensive. So we found
Yeah.
a nice big house for the whole family, including the dog. And 2 years, we ended up selling our house in Atlanta, buying the house in Cambridgeshire. And that was a lot, we spent our lifetime here. My son was 11. He's now 50. And he is now a British citizen as well as an American citizen. And we are also getting our citizenship. I like it here, and I love the East End of London. This is where I've settled. I absolutely love it. Steve is still in Cambridge because
Mhm.
he works in Cambridge. I work in London, and we've been married for almost 60 years. It's a great marriage, and part of the reason it's a great marriage is because we're not always together. Sometimes he's there, and I'm here, and then we spend weekends, we spend holidays. It's fantastic, and we each can do our own thing because neither of us are retired. We're both obsessed with what we do. But I wrote 27 cookbooks. And
That's a book.
when I say I write a cookbook, that means I research the recipes. Because I wrote healthy food. So I took a lot of traditional recipes and made them healthier, but I still wanted them to be really sexy and delicious. So I spent a lot of time cooking and testing. And I had a staff who cooked and tested with me. And then the book would come out, and then I'd have to travel all around the country, sometimes all around the world, publicizing it, talking about it. Worked on the BBC for a long time, worked on GMTV. It was a great career. It was absolutely fantastic. But 27 books. But still, I was ready to write my 28th. I hope this isn't boring. This is
I'm like about
talking about
life.
myself. So, so there I was at my desk in my study, checking the proofs of the 27th cookbook. And it's actually a very relaxing time because you've done all the work. And the recipes are tested and it's all there. And all you need to do is go through each manuscript page and see, does everything make sense? Is there a typo? And I had markers and whiteout and all that sort of thing all around me and scrap paper. I've always loved color and I've always loved art. And I've always dressed in colorful clothes. But I knew, and everybody told me since I was a little girl in primary school, that I was absolutely crap at art. I couldn't do it myself. I could love it. I could love other people's work. I could decorate my house, but no, I was terrible at art. Flunked all the time, made my mother so mad because I was supposed to be good at everything. And there were a lot of things I was good at, especially music. I was very good at music. But no, art was not for me. I never even tried. I knew that I couldn't.
Mm.
And I'm sitting there with my markers and my pens and scrap paper. I have no idea what happened. My hand picked up a mermaid, a pen, a felt tip pen, and I drew a mermaid on a piece of paper. I looked at the mermaid. The mermaid looked at me. I picked up more colors. I started coloring her in. I said, this is amazing. This is folk art. This is what I love. This is really, really good. Where did it come from? I don't know. I was going through the menopause. The menopause does strange things to people. This was it was more than 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was more than 20 years ago, maybe 22 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I still feel like it was yesterday. So I don't know. It was the menopause or I was struck by some kind of strange invisible lightning bolt. I don't know. The muse bit me in the bum. Something happened and I became completely obsessed with drawing like a crazy woman. But menopause makes you crazy anyway. So I was drawing day and night. And then I would tape up the things I drew opposite the bed. So when I wake up, made me get to go to sleep at 10 o'clock, wake up at 9. I mean, go to bed at 5 in the morning and wake up at 8 or 9. And there my work of the day before would be. I was just so obsessed, never, ever wrote another cookbook. And I woke up the next morning, I was a different person. I was an artist. And suddenly it didn't matter to me, all the times I flunked and the fact that I didn't think I knew anything about it. This is a good lesson for everybody out there, because don't think you can't do it. You really can do it. You're going to surprise yourself. And a lot of people tell me that, oh, I can't draw. Try it. Forget about what you think others are going to say about it. Forget about all that judgment. Just do it. And the best way to do it is to go back to when you were a child, and with no thought of anybody looking at it, you drew your mommy and your daddy, you drew your house, you drew your dog, you draw smoke coming out of the chimney. Go there and start drawing like that. You will surprise yourself. So from that little moment, that nanosecond of drawing a mermaid, a whole art career has, and now I draw, I paint, I make sculptures, I make my clothes, I make my neck shrines. They're not neck pieces, they're not necklaces, they're neck shrines. And it's just, and I curate shows, and my pieces have been in galleries all over the world. I have a show on now at St. Pancras Hospital. There's a wonderful gallery in there, and it's called Casa Chromatic. And it's always about color, because I am passionate about color. So that little moment turned me into something else. And that's the story of how I became an artist.
No, I love it. I love it. I could just sit here and just, you can speak, and I'll just sit here and listen. Like, I saw, because I was like doing a little bit of research about you, and I saw, because you said that this interview that you went to find a book or something, because you consider yourself an outside.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know the story you're going to tell,
yes.
if I can interrupt you. So an outsider artist is somebody who is not part of the established art world, work outside of the established art world. And I do. I'm completely outside of that and completely untutored. Somebody who has had no training and just spontaneously makes art, makes up their own techniques. So that's an outsider artist. And when I was first making art, trying to figure out what I was and what was happening, I went to a bookstore, probably Waterstones or something, I don't know. And I said to the lady, "Do you have any books on outsider art?" She sent me to the garden department. Because then nobody knew what outsider art was. Okay, she was thinking, if you make art outside in the garden, it must be outsider art. That's not what I was looking for. One of my favorite stories.
No, I love that story, because I was like, what? Katerina said, were you feeling disappointed before that moment?
You mean, was I disappointed in my life?
I'm not sure. Katerina needs to elaborate a bit, like which moment is that? Maybe.
I imagine the person who's asking the question is, before I changed and went into art rather than cooking, was I feeling disappointed with the way I was living? Is that what you're asking? But I can answer that question. The answer is no. I love my career. 27 cookbooks is a lot of cookbooks. And, but I was as inspired by food back then as much as I'm inspired by color and art right now. So it was never boring, because there's always something new to cook. There's always some new way to put it together. And especially since I was a pioneer of healthy techniques that actually tasted great. Yeah. So no, I wasn't disappointed with my life at all. I was going through the menopause, and that makes us crazy. When I hear somebody say, I went through the menopause and it didn't bother me at all, I think, one, you're lying, or two, you're not lying, and I really hate you, because most people, and it does it changes you. Things happen, and so I suppose if something major was going to happen, it would happen during the menopause. But no, I wasn't disappointed with my life. I've had there have been ups and downs, there have been tragedies, as in every life, but on a whole, my life has been fascinating. I've been able to do things for other people. I've been able to do good. I've been able to do good for my family. I've never been bored. So no, I wasn't unhappy or dissatisfied, but suddenly something happened to me that made me another person, and that felt like a more exciting person. It was a gift from the universe, a real gift from the universe. I hope I've answered the question. She was probably asking something completely different.
No, I think she was asking, because she said just before the point that you felt you are an artist. So obviously it's what you answered.
Yeah.
Asking like, right, before you start being an artist.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I had an interesting job, and I was doing a lot of cooking on television, and I got a lot of good feedback. Um, no, I love feeding people. I love food. I love cooking. I love developing recipes. So no, I wasn't dissatisfied at all.
mhm.
But but once, you know, it's sort of like that career is so last century. So that's in the past. That was the old me. This is the new me. And it's nice to be 81 years old and say, well, 20 years ago, the new me was born.
Mm.
And at 81, I don't think I'll live long enough for another 20 years for a newer me. I don't want a newer me. I like the me that I am right now.
Not a lot of people can say that. So that's amazing that you can actually say that.
Yeah.
What is the feedback you get from your art?
It depends on who's looking, because my agent, my poor agent, my literary agent who, dealt with my books, he didn't understand what was happening to me at all. I mean, I didn't understand what was happening to me at all. I think he thought that I lost my mind. And a lot of people look at my art and they say, well, my child could do that. I said, okay, well, please bring me some of your child's art so I can see if that's really true. Or somebody else said, well, I could do that. Please show me. That's fine. If you can do that, I'm proud of you. Show me your art. I have a voice. I learned when I started drawing, I have a voice. But a lot of people, I've got a lot of good feedback. And I've been curating shows too. Since way back then, I've been curating shows. I started with Outsider Art Women. And then I decided that's terribly sexist. That was a show I did called Wow, Wild Old Women. That's another long story. And then I decided, well, that's being fairly sexist. So all of the shows I've done subsequently include men and women. That only seems fair. So I've been curating, and all my blockbuster shows have gotten great reviews in Raw Vision, which to me is the ultimate. Raw Vision is the journal of outsider art. Beautiful, beautiful journal. So yeah, I've had good feedback from the people who understand what outsider art is. A lot of people don't. They don't think it's fine art. It isn't fine art. It's outsider art, and it's very colorful. And so I would say the feedback has been good. But this is the thing, and again, I'm talking to all you people out there. Don't worry about judgment. There is no such thing as is it good or is it bad. That's meaningless. It exists. If you made it and you're happy with it, that's the important thing. Don't let other people, well, you shouldn't do it that way. And your perspective is wrong. You know how many wonderful artists work without using perspective at all? Mm. Do it your way. And you can always improve it a little bit, but you don't have to listen to all that judgment. And this is what because I mentor young people, and a couple of old people as well. I mentor outsider artists, and this is what I tell them. Believe in yourself. Don't listen. Can I say bullshit? Don't listen to the bullshit that people throw at you. You have to believe in yourself and enjoy it. You have to love it. It has to mean something to you. And, I'm always looking for new artists to put in my show. Mostly it's UK artists here, because now I'm working with the gallery in the St. Pancras Hospital. Listen, if you're in London, St. Pancras Hospital, Conference Center, it's a wonderful historic bunch of buildings anyway. Casa Chromatic, we are going to knock your socks off. It's free, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Because we had a year and a half when we couldn't do anything, we went crazy with this one. And we'll do another one next year if there's not another, I don't know, oh my God, Omicron or whatever's happening. Yeah. So it's good to be back in the world again, even though we're all masked and keeping our distance. So yeah, it was very satisfying. And it's about color. It's about joy. That's what interests me.
How long is this show gonna be around?
Well, we decided to keep it till the end of March, because it had been a year and a half without anything happening. And about halfway through, so probably toward the end of January, we're going to just change it around a little bit. We're going to put some new pieces in. But excuse me, I have the hiccups. But it's going to be the same artist. We're not adding any new artists to it, but we're going to change it around a little bit. And I'm hoping that things will calm down. There won't be another lockdown. So yeah, it will be closed for Christmas and New Year, but otherwise it's open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It's free. There is no monetary reason for me to tell you this. I just want you to have fun and see color and see art. It's
Someone
great.
tried to hear wear beige will kill you. Yeah, don't wear beige when you go there, maybe.
I don't even like to say the word. I don't understand beige. Don't wear beige. It might kill you. I'm a big, big, big champion of color. There's a lot of chromophobia in the world. People are afraid of color. I don't understand why, but color makes the world better. And I have a tribe, and everybody is welcome to this tribe. We have every the third Thursday of every month, we have a color walk at Old Spitalfields Market in the East End. Everybody is welcome. Sometimes we have a huge crowd, sometimes we have a medium-sized crowd. We have a million photographers who come to take our pictures. We've become quite famous. And for me, I dress this way every single day in color, every single day. And most of the other people who come as well. It is life affirming. It's good for the mental health. It's good for the mental health for the people who are looking at you and they can't help but smile. Don't understand beige. Don't understand all black. I mean, basic black is good if you then embellish it with lots of color because it makes the color pop. And let's not even talk about the B word. It'll kill you. Beige will kill you.
I need to come in one of these. Like, first of all, I need to go to the show, and I need to visit your gallery, and I also need to go to this walk now, which I
Yeah.
didn't.
We had our last one of the year yesterday. It was quite manic and fun and amazing. So we'll have another one third Thursday of it. But we have a thing on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you follow me too, I'm always announcing when it's going to happen. So just watch out for it. Check social media. You'll see. And I've just now, if you're following me on Instagram, I and a lot of the other people who have been in it are posting all the pictures of what happened. It's just so much fun.
I
And
know it's so.
we feel we're doing a good deed because we're pushing all this art and color in people's faces. They don't have to go to a museum. Just come and look at us. We are walking collages. We are walking art galleries. I think we're amazing. Maybe, I'm sorry. I think we're amazing.
I've seen like all the photos you upload on Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of color going on there.
That's
Angels
what we like.
are beautiful. Yes, I agree. You are.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, like, is there something that you get inspiration from, or is it something like when you do your art, like, is there something that you have in mind when you create your art, or is just something that it comes to you, like when you start? Some people when they start, they just put like things together and then it just comes about. Or do you have something as an inspiration?
Yeah, it's a good question. And both things are true. I mean, there's so much inspiration in my life. I don't copy anybody's, but I am inspired by color. And I am inspired by just walking around London. And I am inspired things I've seen all my life. It's hard not to be inspired. Back in the 80s, late 70s and 80s, spent a lot of time in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico gets into your head. The color, the folk art. So many things in my life have inspired me. But when I was in kindergarten, I was 5 years old, so that would be 76 years ago. The teacher, the first day, that was so long ago, and I remember it like it just happened. The first day, the teacher brought out this big box of crayons, which the whole class was going to share. It was a little bit shabby, probably a couple of classes before us had used it too. But it was the big box of Crayolas, 78 colors, 68, I think. 68 colors in one box. One box. 68 colors. And it had a very distinctive smell. And I think we all even tasted it. You know what you're doing. Never forget that. And so, because I didn't grow up in that colorful a house, my parents were very nice. They took care of us, but we didn't have a whole lot of color. So I looked at that box and boing, suddenly a rainbow was embedded in my head. And that did change my life, really did change my life. So and then several times we traveled in the American Southwest, mostly for work, and then, to lecture and so on, and then stay on in Phoenix. No, not in Phoenix. In Santa Fe,
Mm-hmm.
there is the Museum of Folk Art, International Folk Art. That was amazing. And that got into my head. And Mexico got into my head. And just walking around the East End, and I live in I live near Brick Lane and Redchurch Street and Shoreditch. The graffiti and the public art on the buildings. How can I even explain it? People talk about that area in Brooklyn. What area is it in Brooklyn? And I've been there. It's supposed to be so famous for their graffiti. Honey, it doesn't have anything on us. We have, I'm very chauvinistic about East London. We have the best graffiti. We have the best folk art on the walls. Yeah, we're very lucky. So everywhere I go. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little low and it's very gray out and I just don't have, I go out on a color safari. I just walk around. I used to get on a bus. Now I'm getting older. I'm not so good on the bus, but just walk around or take a taxi, take an Uber, and ride around and look for color. And you don't even have to look at the graffiti. There's color everywhere, absolutely everywhere. How can you not be inspired? Also, I paint mostly women. Every once in a while, I've done a little drawing of my son and my husband, but otherwise I only paint women. I'm interested in the female landscape, and I'm always painting my imagined goddesses. So there are always a bunch of goddesses in my head clamoring to be let out. So a lot of my sculptures and my huge embellished paintings, they are about goddesses, and there's always a goddess in here to paint, always. So yeah, inspiration. Sometimes it's too much. What am I going to do first? You're standing there with all your paints and all your, it's too much, I wish there were 3 of me standing in there. So it's trying to keep the inspiration at bay rather than looking what's going to inspire me today. I'm telling you, it's slightly manic, but it's a great way to live. It's a great way to live.
Yeah, as you say, most artists try to they just sit there and like think of something in order to inspire them, instead of the opposite, which is which you have too much things in your mind.
And I dream about it, and if I'm working on a big painting, which often happens, when I go to, in the old days, when I was younger, 20 years ago, I would just stay up all night until I finish. I could not leave it unfinished, but now I'm 81, I have to go to sleep. So I'll go to sleep and the thing is still not finished and I'll dream about it. And this is weird, this happens all the time. In my dream, I will pick up a brush and I will start to change something or wipe something out and change it. And that little piece of my consciousness will say, no, don't do that, because I have the feeling if I change it in my dream, when I wake up in the morning, it will be changed. And I don't want my dream self to change it. I want my waking self to change it. I have this dream all the time. And I managed to stop myself in my dream from changing it. Yes, I'm a weird woman. This is what happens.
No, my sister has that. Like, she can actually understand when she's dreaming and like do things in her dream.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying.
I dream about color. Once I dreamt, I had 2 interesting dreams. Well, all my dreams are fascinating. I really like my dreams. But once I dreamt that I discovered a couple of new colors that had never been seen before. And when I woke up, I couldn't recapture them. New colors that had never, not shades of existing colors, new colors. I wish I knew. I woke up and they were gone. Once I also dreamt about ice cream because I used to, make up recipes, and I dreamt that I invented this incredible new ice cream that nobody. When I woke up, that was also gone. Damn it! Are you an artist as well? You are an artist as well.
Well, depends what is an artist. I mean, I love drawing, so
yeah.
But when I draw, I'm not really with colors or anything. I would just like maybe draw faces, or how tattoo artists draw. Like, I like touch. I don't do tattoos or anything like that, but I like that kind of art.
Great. If you make art, you are an artist. If you say it's art, it's art.
I would take that then. I know, I just feel like, I don't know, because I have in my mind artists, like people like you. So then I'm like, yeah, you can't consider yourself the same. But
everybody's different.
Yeah, no.
Everybody does their art differently.
Yes. Yeah. So when you started with your art, how is it? Because your art is unique. So it's not something that you would see every day. So I'm sure there was a lot of people that rejected you, let's say. So how easy was it to find people similar, like same community?
Yeah, in the beginning, it wasn't easy, and I didn't know what was happening to me or what I was doing. And I was kind of in the closet. I was an artist in the closet. I didn't show anybody. I showed my family, my husband and my son, and they were very supportive and admiring of it. But they would sort of like, "What happened to mother? You know, she's never done anything like this before." But they were really nice about it. I did have a little group of friends here, neighbors and so on. They hated it. And they didn't, some of them didn't even bother to pretend that what I was doing was interesting. They really hated it. They're not friends anymore, I have to say. They
But
weren't supportive. They weren't, and if I brought out the folder of stuff I was doing to show, they didn't want anything to do with it. Mostly I kept it a secret. So, and then, yeah, but I had a couple of friends who were artists. One was in London and now she's living in Wales. She was fantastic and I admire her and I admire her work. And I showed her a folder of what I was doing and I'll never forget. She said to me, "Sue, you're really talented." And that just, then I had the courage to continue. I would have continued no matter what, because I was under a compulsion. It still is a compulsion and an obsession, as it is for many artists, to just keep working. So I saw a little announcement. Was it in Raw Vision? Or was it online? There wasn't that much online happening those days. But this is another funny story, if I have time to tell it.
you have plenty of time. I can think like hours with you. Easy.
Well, there was a little announcement somewhere. It might have been in Raw Vision magazine that said, looking for work for the Raw Art Festival in London. It was in Camden.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up this guy and I looked up Raw, and it was actually something. They had one a couple of years before. And I thought, Raw art is essentially outsider art. So I thought, should I apply for this? I said, they're going to laugh me out of town. No, they're going to either ignore me or laugh at me. So I thought, okay, I can take it. If they laugh at me, I'll just never do it again. I'll just keep everything secret after that. So I sent in a couple of images. And within the hour from the curator, I got a thing saying, "Gee, Sue, you make great art. Send me 150 pounds and you're in the show." I thought, this is too easy. This might be a scam.
Yes.
I can't believe. So he says, yes, and he's asking for money. So I spoke to my husband about it. And I thought, so finally he said, "Look, the worst thing that's going to happen is you lose 150 pounds, but why don't you try it, especially since there was another one a couple of years ago." So I did. I sent him 150 and he said, "Okay, you're in the show." And then the next day, I got another thing from him. And he said, "I see that you're in the food business," because I was still in the tail end of my career. "Would you like to cook lunch for all the artists on Installation Day?" 70 artists. This was in a huge space in Camden that was on 2 floors. 70 artists would do lunch. I'm a real patsy, so I said, okay. I did get my money back because, I got my 150 back. And also, he said, "Since you're doing this for us," I put together a fantastic lunch, absolutely fantastic. Spread it out. It was all colorful. It was gorgeous. So he said, his usual way, how you got your space in the gallery was you had to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning. And when he opened the doors, there was this mad rush, and there were some big, tough guys, the guys from France, they were tough. So he said, you can pick your own space the day before, because I did the lunch. So I got the best space. You walked in the door, there I was. And I had quite a bit of work because I had drawings. I had big paintings on wood that were embellished with, a lot of junk. I had some really good work. So you walk in, there I am. Everybody else had to fight for their space. So I thought, okay, now we'll see if anybody notices me, or they're going to look at me and laugh and walk on. So I thought I would be maybe one of the very few women in the show, and certainly the oldest person in the show. It turned out not to be true. So on opening night, there were a lot of people who were very well known in the outsider art world, including John Mazel's, who I worship Raw Vision magazine. And he was there, and his sister was there, who had her own outsider art magazine, and a lot of other really well-known people in the field. And they liked my work. They really did like my work. In fact, when there was a little review of it in Raw Vision after it was all over, they mentioned 3 artists, and one of them was me. I opened that magazine in a local cafe, and when my son and I were having coffee, and I opened the magazine, I said, I wonder if they reviewed the show. And they reviewed the show, and they mentioned me. I started screaming right there, right there in the cafe. So that's what brought me into the outsider art world. Then I knew that's where I belonged. Made a lot of friends. There were several women. There were a lot of really rough, tough men. 70 artists in all, but there were a little group of women. And we, of course, we spent all our time together. We went out to lunch. We went out to dinner. So one night, we were having dinner in Chinatown after the gallery had closed for the day. And we had a couple of glasses of wine, and we were feeling very happy and proud of ourselves. And I opened my mouth, and I said, you know what? We should do a show of our own. We could call it, wow, Wild Old Women. It was born of 2 glasses of wine, lots of lovely Chinese food, and happiness, So yes, we did. I did. I curated a show, Novus Gallery, which is near the Tate. Unfortunately, no longer exists, but they sponsored us. They gave us all of their space. My friend Peter Herbert, who I still work with at St. Pancras, helped me put it together in a beautiful way. That was a blockbuster. An absolute blockbuster. We got fantastic reviews for it. People still talk about that show. So that was the beginning. Then I did one called Flashier and Trashier in the Crypt. This is a different St. Pancras, the St. Pancras Church on Euston. We did a big show in the Crypt. And then I did another big show in the Crypt called Dare to Wear. All got really, really, really good reviews. They were all weird shows. It's not like you have a white gallery, a white wall gallery, and you hang things here and there. It was actually like a very peculiar Disneyland for really odd adults. And people loved it. We had crowds, and people would go, and then they'd get their family and bring them back, and they'd take pictures of themselves inside the various installations. So that's what got me going as both an artist and a curator. And then my art just grew, because making paintings, embellished paintings, drawings, making sculptures. I do a lot of sculptures, memory jugs, now neck pieces. This one is tame. Honey, I'll wear anything around my neck when I'm out in the field. And I design my clothes. I have somebody who stitches them for me, but I source the fabrics, I design them. So there is no separation between my art and my life. All one thing. And that's the way my life, I would imagine, is going to go for the rest of my time on this earth. And also doing things for other artists. That's the important thing. There are some young artists, especially outsider artists, who will never ever find a place to put their work. And we, Peter Herbert and I, at this gallery in the hospital, and other things I've done as well, I want to bring them into that, because they're damn good. They're working outside the margins of the real art world. The real art world. I think my art world is the real art world. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. So yeah, it's great. It's a great one.
Someone saying great exhibitions, fantastic works of art. There you go.
Sorry, what?
Great exhibitions, fantastic work of arts. Amazing work, Sue, someone is saying.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have no secrets. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, and you might look at some of my followers who are also, and some of my friends who are also artists, look them up, because it's not the sort of thing you'll see in, it's not the sort of thing you'll see in other places.
It's not easy for someone that has similar art with you to actually find this community.
Come to the color walk. You'll meet lots of people. You'll make connections. Come talk to me. Talk to me. And I'm always interested in seeing your work. Always interested in seeing your work. Now, Peter Herbert, who runs this gallery where I do my show as well, there is a yearly show for LGBTQ artists. And called Loudest Whispers, and we're in the middle of planning one now. We've got all our artists for this time, but we're always looking for new artists because we do this I help him with that. Um, he calls me the spiritual advisor of his other shows. So we're always interested in seeing what you do, always interested. So come talk to me. I'm happy to talk to anybody, and I'm happy to talk about art. Now I'm looking at my own. I'm looking at my own image on this camera, and you see behind me, I went through a chandelier phase. Don't ask me why, but I went through a phase where I made maybe almost a dozen chandeliers. They don't light up or anything. They're not electrified, but they have Barbies and they have mermaids and they have fish and so sometimes you just see something in your house. I collect a lot of junk. I have a shed in the back. I have all the stuff. I've had some of it since I was a kid. And then suddenly, boing, an idea comes and something comes. So you just have to kind of follow your instinct. I'm not doing chandeliers anymore, but and they've been in several exhibitions as well. So you just look around you. Look around you. I am a big believer in using detritus, the things that people throw away. We've been doing this for years. We've been doing this for a long time. So you walk around looking down in the street. It's what Philip Guston, the artist, called cots, crap off the street. And you never know what you're going to find. And it will be, you clean it up a little bit, make it hygienic. It becomes part of your art. It's incredibly exciting. So my friend Phil Wildman, another artist, collage artist of stuff that he finds. He just died. He was just about my age, so I'm really sad. And I got a huge inheritance from him. So in art, I've got a lot of his work now, and I've always had a lot of his work because we've always had each other's work in each other's houses. So he left me a huge box among the actual art pieces. He left me a huge box of cots, his particular collection of crap off the street. So I've got a box of this stuff, old machine parts, even a whole bag of the netting that comes on citrus fruit. I've got my own box of netting of citrus fruit. Now I have his as well. I have my own crap. Now I have his crap as well. And it's a great honor to have his crap. I can't believe he left that to me. Mm-hmm. The instructions were not to throw it away, and he didn't know he was going to die. He died very suddenly. But he had made out a will last year. And in that will, I was to get, among art objects and works of art, I got all the cots. Somebody dies and leaves me the cots. That is a privilege. I don't need diamonds. I don't need emeralds. Just give me your crap.
I feel that's the best though. I like things like that's my main issue, because it's hard for me to throw things out, because I always I can't throw this out, I can't throw that out. Then I'm connected with something and I'm like, no, I can't throw it. And yeah, and then I'm stuck with all this crap, that's my problem.
But it's useful. If you're an artist, it's incredibly useful. And sometimes I have things from when I was a kid. I've never really been able to throw anything away. And sometimes it will be 20, 30, 40 years. And that's exactly what I need for this piece. Exactly what I need. I have all the broken jewelry and yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. Right? That's what inspires me too. And all of us who work that way are very inspired by that kind of thing.
Wait, because I need to see. Okay, so Vice says, "Hi Sue, I miss you here in New York."
Yeah. Oh, that must be. Yeah. I used to go to New York 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
Because that's my hometown. So I'd go and I'd stay 3 or 4 weeks each time, and then I got a little bit old and tired, so I was only going 2 times a year, but it was fantastic because I connected with my friends, and I have a little place right where I grew up in New York and Washington Heights. But pandemic, COVID, we have not been able to travel a year and a half. And I'm planning to go back in the spring, but I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Everything is so changeable and the virus is evolving. From what I've been reading, Omicron is not that deadly. And if you've been vaccinated, then you are protected to a certain extent. But who knows? We don't know what's happening next. It's so uncertain. So I'm hoping whoever you are who's missing you, I miss you too. And I'm hoping to be there in the spring.
And someone else says, Color Walk, Spitafields. Tell us more.
Yes, that's what I was talking about a little bit before. You can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, London Color Walk, the third Thursday of every month.
Mm-hmm.
And even in this time of new being careful because of Omicron, it's essentially outside. It's covered, so the weather doesn't get at you, but it's open all around, so it is essentially outside. And we meet at 1. We have a group picture at 2. We just have so much fun. Everybody is welcome. Just please don't wear beige, because I want to live another few years. Do not wear beige. And dress yourself up. And you don't have to be exceptionally dressed up. Just wear a little color. Of course, some people wear huge amounts of color. And if you look on my Instagram page, my Facebook page, and London Color Walks page, you will see everything that happened yesterday. Thursday was yesterday. What happened last time. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about it. It's London Color Walk, and me, Sue Kreitzman, and our the man who organizes us is Florent Bidois, and you can follow him too. But you know, you'll eventually follow us all, because we're also very, very fascinating. We fascinate ourselves and we fascinate everybody else. So there's no secret about it. It's public property and everybody can come. And they're very good to us at Old Spitalfields Market. So the reason it's Thursday, and this is how the whole thing came across.
Okay.
Old Spitalfields Market is going very posh. It used to be kind of a wasteland after the food and veg market moved out of town. And it was very exciting then because there were a lot of artists then. But it's become so fancy schmancy. So now there's a Peloton. Everybody knows what happened with Peloton recently if you watch Sex and the City. We're all a little nervous about that. But there's a Peloton. There is a Chanel. There's all this really hoity-toity stuff. But on Thursday, there is a flea market, a real honest-to-God flea market. And some of us, that's where we shop. That's where I find things for my work, for my outfits. I love old-fashioned flea markets, and I've been going to this one since the day they opened, which was almost 20 years ago, every Thursday, unless I'm out of town. So it's so good. So I would go, and my friends would come with me, and we always dress colorfully. I'm always dressed colorfully. So it became a thing to come on Thursday. And then through various things that happened, it became official. It was a color walk. And we decided that the color walk would be on the third Thursday of every month. So this is what I want. If you come to the color walk, wear color. We will all love you, and you will love us. But please support the market. A basic idea of the color walk is to support the flea market. And you'll find lots of stuff for your work. There are things that are expensive. There are plenty of stalls that just sell jewelry for £1. Everything in between. The dealers are incredibly friendly. It's a great way. So even if you don't want to come to a color walk, go on Thursday to Old Spitalfields Market. They're open every Thursday, even through the holiday period now. They're open every Thursday. And it's a very old-fashioned flea market. There's a saying, the Native Americans say, before you can really judge me, you have to walk a mile in my moccasins. If you walk a mile in my moccasins, you'll end up at a flea market somewhere. So, love flea market.
For sure.
I would love that.
Yeah, no, I
So I just have to say next Thursday, they are open next Thursday, but I won't be there because I'm going to be with my husband in Cambridgeshire for the holidays. But the next color walk, of course, I'll be there. And after, over the holidays, I'm going to be with hubby, Professor Hubby. But otherwise, I'm there.
Okay, so I can't wait to see you here in New York. Is Gigi.
Who?
From Gigi. That's what she wrote. I can't wait to see you here in New York from Gigi.
Okay, I'm actually not sure who that is, but I'll be in New York in the springtime, unless we have another lockdown. Who knows what's going to happen?
No, don't say that.
No, we don't know what's happening. We're living, it's very, very hard and confusing to live through history. And this is a historic thing that's happening now. But as long as the borders are open and so on, I will be there in the springtime. And whoever you are, Zizi, I will see you there. I go to all the flea markets there as well. So.
So I want to ask you, so can someone actually buy your art somewhere?
Yes and no. I am very anal retentive about my art.
Okay.
And my flat is an art flat. I'm surrounded by my art. And I feel my art has more power as a collection than, I'm not doing it for commercial. I'm not doing it to sell. And I already had my big career. And before that, I was a school teacher. So it's not as if I need to do this to make my living. I really don't. So mostly I keep it. And it's all over my house. But every once in a while when I'm in a show, an exhibition, there will be a few pieces to buy. I think in this one particular show right now, I think everything is marked not for sale. But if somebody really, really wants something, they can get in touch with me and we can talk it over. I do a lot of trading with artists and we love that. So I'll get a piece of his or her art and they will get a piece of my art. That's a great way to do it. So occasionally I sell things, but mostly, no, I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask, so have you got any inspiration from the pandemic? Because it must have affected you. I mean, it's affected everyone, whether it's like, big or small. But has it also given you maybe some inspiration for your art?
Well, yes, I did, because my husband and I were not together. He was in Cambridge. I was here, locked in, and I was here in London. And I just made art every single day, all the time. And whatever I had, and I have a shed in the back garden filled with supplies and cots, crap off the street, plus other stuff, broken jewelry, all this kind of stuff. And everything. And I had my groceries delivered. I didn't even go out because of my age. I was very nervous about the virus. And this was before there was a vaccine too, the first very long lockdown. So I wandered around my house and I made stuff. From some of the deliveries I got, we had paper bags. It is on my website. There's a little thing about it. I made paper bag masks. I really love them. And I made everything I possibly could. I did drawing, I did sculpture, everything that I had materials for. I had a binge of art making. So I was just inspired by being here and going inside my head with all the rainbows and everything else that's inside my head. So yeah, it was incredibly inspiring. The second lockdown was not, because by then we were so sick of it and the novelty was gone. But I still made art right through it every time. But that's what I do anyway. I think for a lot of artists, the lockdown was not so terrible, because what do? We make art. What do we do when there's not a lockdown? We make art. But fewer people bothered us, because you couldn't go out to do anything. You couldn't. So it was good. It was not a terrible thing, except I missed my husband. But then we had another lockdown, and then I was with him. But I have mostly drawing materials there when I'm with him in Cambridge. But there's always art to be made, always. So this is not unusual to me. Many, many, many artists have that same experience. Yeah. Lockdown. Get out the crayons. Get out the paints. Get out the paper bags. Whatever you've got.
Love them. I always hated during the pandemic that people would say, "Oh, I'm so bored. There's nothing to do. Like, I'm fed up with life and this and that." And I hate hearing that, because there's so many things you can actually do. Like, I mean, I was working because I am in care, but like, I would be like, I wish I had the time, because there's so many things that you can create. Katerina's asking, do you read books? If yes, what sort of books?
I do read books. And I was about to say, apropos of what you were just saying, how can you get bored? Because first of all, if you're making art, that's great. But when you don't want to make art, so many books to read. And you might have I'm a very old-fashioned woman. I have actual books that you open up and read, but you can read on the Kindle, you can read on your device, reading. And then if you get tired of reading, you can binge on things online, and there's so much, you can watch movies. We used to have to go to a movie theater to watch movies. Oh, I'm so old. I remember when the only way you could see a movie was to go to a theater. No, so much to do at home in here. And the lockdown gave us time to do it. We could do everything. And I did do everything. And yes, I love to read. Have an embarrassing amount of books here and in the house my husband is based in Cambridge. I've been reading. I feel like I was born reading. I don't remember learning how to read. I just remember being able to read. And when I was in kindergarten and first grade, all the little kids would come to me. I was a little kid too. What's this word? What's this word? What's this word? I've been reading all my life, essentially. I love science fiction. I love good novels. I love to read. What am I reading now? I'm reading about 3 books at once. I'm going to recommend a book to you.
Okay.
I've read it 3 times. And
Okay.
oddly enough, it's about a deadly virus that wipes out most of humanity. So in a way, I love dystopian novels, but this is the most cheerful, uplifting of dystopian novels. It's called Station 11. And I understand it's now a TV series, and I'm hoping we'll be able to stream it here in this
It
country.
is a
Station
TV
11.
series.
I've just read that it's now a TV series. I haven't watched it yet, and I don't know where we're going to be able to stream it here, maybe on Amazon Prime. I don't know. But it is so beautiful. It is so poetic. It's so uplifting. So I might have to read it again. I'm hoping that I can find a place to stream it, and I'm hoping they don't ruin it. I don't like what they did with Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. That's another book I read several times, a very, very powerful book. I didn't like the film, but I like books. And then once I love a book, it's hard to go to somebody else's interpretation of it. And you have a vision in your head of the characters, and then you see somebody else's vision on the screen. No. So, but by all means, I will watch it and see how I like it. So I'm going to say, try that book, even though it's about a deadly virus that wiped out. Well, you don't know exactly what happened, but some sort of illness. But it is so beautiful and uplifting. So I read everything else this woman wrote. What is her name? But you can look it up. And she is a good writer, but nothing hit me the way Station 11 did me. It's just so beautiful. Okay. So I like dystopian novels as well. Some of them really depressing. Some of them are, have a little bit of hope. So you never know.
Okay. So yeah, I will look that up. But okay, so my other question is, since we're talking about artists and books and everything, that what would you say to a new artist? So someone that's starting off now, because in general, someone that starts, so someone that wants to get into art, it's not as easy because obviously you need to pay rent and everything is so expensive nowadays. So then you're like contradicted towards like, I need to work, so I need a 9-to-5 job, but I also want to succeed like in the art. And art in general is not an easy way to make money. We all know that from our parents, you need to go to law school and become a doctor. Like art is never really.
Yes, get a job where you're guaranteed a good wage. Get a job. Yes, don't be an artist. Don't be a musician. I know. But this is the thing for a young person. It's different for me because I'm an old woman. I have pensions. I've had my career. I can afford to do it without worrying about bringing the money in. For a younger person, I do say, and I don't want to sound like your mother or your grandmother, have a job. And it doesn't have to be a full-time, all-encompassing job. It can just be something that brings you enough money to live, because you're not going to live on your art. You're not, and some people can never, ever live on their art. And if I had to live on my art, and then it turns into something else. It turns into a commercial deal. And I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel, is this the right color? Are they going to like it? And then people say, I want this to go over my couch. And no, that's not. But if you're going to be a professional artist and you want to make, I can't advise on that because I'm an outsider artist. And I'm so outside that I'm even outside the outsiders. I mean, really, I'm just this random, spontaneous artist. So it's a whole different story. And I feel that going to art school is a two-edged sword. Some people find that it just kills all your creativity and squeezes all the inspiration out of you. Other people find it fantastic because you learn about technique, you learn about materials. So everybody is different, and I can't give a blanket advice to everybody. But the only blanket advice I have is have something going that brings you in some money. You really have to do that. You don't want to be a starving artist. You don't want to starve. On the other hand, you don't want to have a job that just swamps your whole life and you come home so exhausted you can't make art. So easier for me to say this than, to actually do it. But that would be the best. And I do have a lot of young friends who do the most amazing art and have even had some recognition, but they still have to have something else that brings them in some money. And most of them do. So, and I try to be very supportive as well, but I can't support everybody, but I have my little coterie that I do try to support. But yes, get a job, as your mother or father might say to you, get a job, but you don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a doctor. Somebody must say,
No, I agree, because like that's what my parents always used to say, because so both of them are authors, so they write books. So, but they always had, because my mom was always like making things, like before she started like writing books, she would always like make art, like some sort of art. But that's what she would always say, like, it doesn't matter what a job, like just get a job, just for, get some money in and just do what you love. So I always had like that support no matter what I did. Like, because at the end of the, yeah, obviously don't get a job that's gonna like exhaust you, that you're not gonna have the energy for.
exactly. Get something that'll just keep you going. You really do need to. You don't want to have to live in squalid poverty. But it's that balance, and that balance is not always easy. It's not the easiest thing to work.
Katerina says, if you could give an advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Do you know how many times people have asked me this question? So, first of all, if I could go and visit my younger self would get quite frightened and say, I think I'm having some sort of hallucination. So I'd have to be very careful about that. And my younger self might say, oh my God, is that what you look like when you're 80? I don't want any part of this. So it's kind of it's a rhetorical question. It's a metaphorical question.
Yeah.
But I think what I would say is, I know you're a very unusual person and your mother gets very upset with you for various things you do and the way you dress and all that. That's what's going to make you happy and famous and beloved later in your life. So don't lose that. Don't think that that's, that you're a bad person because of these things. Just don't think that. And I also would have said, let's try making a little art now, even though everybody's telling you you're terrible at it. Don't listen to that. So I was very good at music, and I was really good at creative writing and words and so on. And that's great. That also, I was saying to my younger self, you're not going to write all the great novels you think you're going to write, but you are going to make your living by writing. So take heart for that. But try a little art, do a little drawing. You might surprise yourself. You're not so bad as they tell you.
No, I agree so much with that, because nowadays, nowadays it's getting better. Okay. But that's the thing, like when people, like, okay, so someone has a child, they always try to keep them in boxes, like school does that, parents do that, and as you say, like even when you go to art schools, they say to you, no, you can't draw in this way because it's wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I say sometimes it just squeezes the inspiration and the art right out of you. So it depends on who you are. Because going to art school can teach you technique and using materials and so on. And then as soon as you grad, you do what you want, or you can leave early. Art school is a mixed blessing. So, but you say putting in the box. I always say some of us don't even know where the box. There's a box. Where is that box? I've never even seen that box. But I always say, if you have to live in the box for various reasons, decorate it with glitter, put feathers, put, jewels, just make it fantastic. Make it the most fantastic box you possibly can. Everybody is different.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, you don't want to be the same with someone else. That's one thing.
No, of course not. You want to be yourself. And it seems to me the whole world is working on making you not be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong. You don't want to do that. You want to do it this way. The way you're doing it is wrong. You have to stop listening to those voices. If you're a serial killer, then honey, what you're doing is wrong. But as long as you're a good person and you're kind to others and you're helping other people, if you live in a weird way that doesn't, I remember when I got married, I didn't want to wear a white dress and a veil and have my hair up. I didn't want to. they made me between, my parents and his parents. We didn't even know if we had to get married, but we did have to get married because that was back in the, in
Yeah.
the mid 50s. You had to. So sometimes you have to do what they say. But then you find your freedom. You find your freedom and you do things the way you want to do them. Have a little bit of faith in yourself and what you believe in. That's the thing I would say to everybody, not just to my younger self, to everybody.
No, I agree with that, and I've even noticed it because originally I'm from Greece, even though I've moved here. But the thing is that even simple things in Greece, I notice how people are like so weird about it. Because if, for example, I wanted to do my hair pink because I was thinking about it, and then I went to Greece, like the amount of stares that I would have, like from people and stuff, like having
Yeah.
short hair and pink, and it would be like, people would say things, or like, walking down the street, like older people would like probably comment on your hair or this and that, and it's like, why? Like that's terrible.
That's why I like living in London and especially in the East End.
Yes.
Anything goes. And I found my place in the East End 25 years ago before it became out of sight as far as finances are concerned. So I was very lucky. And you can do anything you want. You can be whoever you want. Believe me, anything goes around here as long as you behave yourself as far as not being nasty to people. Anything goes. Although, some people are nasty as well. But no, just be a nice person. You can dye your hair any color you want. You can be, your sexuality, your background, the way you dress, that's all so fluid these days. You can do what you want. Just be a good person. Please be a good person.
I love that advice. Yeah, but it's so true because at the end of the day, you don't want to wake up and regret something that you haven't done, and especially when it's something simple as you say, like dyeing your hair, or at the end of the day, like your sexuality. No one is like, it's no one's business, like what you do in general. So
That's absolutely true. Just shut up.
yeah.
If you don't like what I do, then don't do it. But allow me to do it, please. Just don't do it. Somebody said, well, if you don't like gay marriage, then don't get gay married. That's it. Let other people get it if they want. People are so judgmental about things they don't know anything about. They're frightened. Just leave us alone, whoever, because I work a lot with the LGBTQ community. And it's so much easier than it used to be, but it still can be very problematic. So, yes, we are what we are. They are what they are. You don't have to do what they're doing, but just let them do their thing. Come on now. It's very strange world, really very strange.
It's amazing that you say that because like, especially like older generations, they're not like that. They would like be judgmental, like where is this world going to? And you're doing exhibitions with the LGBT community and everything. So,
Yeah.
Katrina says, has your husband always been supportive to your art?
Yes, my husband and my son, they didn't really understand what was going on, but I'm happy to say they actually liked the work. They did like the work because, as I said, I had a lot of neighborhood friends who didn't, and they were very supportive of it. And they still are. So, yeah. They may think I'm a little weird, but they also think I'm wonderful. I think they're wonderful. We're very different, the three of us. My husband dresses so conservatively. He wears a white shirt and black trousers. I cannot, for love or money, get him to. But that's fine. Can I tell another story? I won't say the F word on screen. I can say it. I
Yes.
can say anything I want. Good. We were at a place for brunch in New York during one of our getaways to New York. And I am what I am. I wear what I want to wear. So I was wearing a really bright kimono. It was a special Sunday brunch. And I was wearing one of my neck ties that had big letters on it that said WOW, wow. And it had other things on it as well. So we were sitting and we were having our lovely brunch. And it was Sunday, so it was pretty busy. And there was a table of young people. I think there were two couples. They must have been in their mid to late 20s. And Steve was just wearing a white shirt and his dark trousers. But that's what I am. And I don't feel I'm being eccentric. I'm just being myself. So they're looking at me and then they're looking at their brunch and they're looking at me. And finally, one of the men came over to me and said, you look really interesting. I want to know more. What is this? So I said, well, this is WOW. That stands for Wild Old Women. mild old woman. And I told him a little bit about how I made it and what I was wearing and so on. And he looked at me and he said, "You fucking rock." And so he was in his late 20s. I was, practically 80 by then. So he went back to his table and he's telling him all about me. So I looked at my husband. I said, "Don't you forget, I fucking rock." And every once in a while, I have to remind him of that.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm like, where is this story going? Because I was like, did someone? Because I'm sure you must get people like, you must get those stares and stuff like the negative ones.
Mostly it's very encouraging. And now that
Good. That's good.
I'm obviously an old woman. You look at me and I can't pretend to be young. And especially a lot of middle-aged women or even younger women, they will come up and look me in the eye and say, "You look really good. I love your style." And what they're really saying is, for an old woman, you look great. So that's fine. And people love the color and they ask questions about what I'm wearing. Mostly it's very positive. Every once in a while, and mostly from men, somebody will say, "Are you on the way to the clown department?" Something really stupid.
Okay.
That's not being witty. That's like being a half-wit. I mean, it's just so stupid. And you're just, okay, walk on by. We don't need to associate with people who don't appreciate us. Just let it go. Let it go. Yeah, there'll always be people. As long as I don't care. I'm not doing something to make an impression. I'm not doing something to be eccentric. When you're trying to be eccentric, then you're kind of being pretentious. The older I get, the more I realize I can do what I want. I can wear bigger neck pieces. I can have a little bit of this. I can have a lot of the other thing. I can do what I want. And you like it? I'm so happy you like it. You don't like it? Go to hell. I don't care.
That's what everyone's saying. Art Mixture Studio is saying true. Elena is also saying very true. Yeah, everyone agrees. I agree with that because I've noticed yeah, okay, I haven't reached your age but I can see that from like when I was like 20 and now that I'm like 32, I'm like, why didn't I change things earlier? Why did I always like think of like, don't do this so you don't upset this person, don't upset your parents? Like, I mean, even having my hair this short, it took me like 2 years to actually like be like, you know what, just go and do it, stop thinking about it so much, it's just hair.
Yeah, if you want it, if you love it, then do it. Even when I was a school teacher, there are certain rules about the way you dress and so on. So I couldn't be too wild, but I always wore really fascinating jewelry, and I always bought cheap and cheerful or put things together myself. The kids loved it. The kids loved it, and there were a couple of teachers in each place. I can't wait. Each day, I can't wait to see what you're going to wear. And there's a story behind it. It's not like you're doing it for no reason. There's a story. There's a story about color. There's a story about design. There's a story about where it came from. This is a great thing. It's not just random throwing things together. It all has meaning. It has great meaning. So, yeah, I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was a kid. That didn't happen. But when you go to a flea market, when you go to a charity shop, when you're looking for cots, crap on the street, that is a kind of archaeology. And then you take all that stuff and you make it into something new and exciting, a work of art. That's a wonderful, and then you encourage other people. When I do my big shows, and we did 2 in the crypt of the St. Pancras Church, almost everything was made out of detritus, junk that we repurposed. And I know I want to inspire people. And I know when they leave, they're looking down on the street, they're looking around, they're looking for stuff, and then they can put it together. You get the feeling when you look at this kind of art, anybody can make art out of anything. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money. It doesn't take a whole lot of training. Anybody, all you need is a little bit of glue or a little bit of needle and thread, and anybody can do it. Please, please go out and do it. You people out there who are listening and looking, you can do it. And it's going to change your life. Really, it's going to change your life. You don't have to do it instead of doing everything else in your life. You can continue doing other things in your life. But make room to make art. That is so important. It is life-changing, especially now where everything's so grim and scary and so on. You can always stay home and make something. I know a lot of you listening are doing that already, but this is for the people who are not doing it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Art Mixes Studio says you are an inspiration to everyone, and you are an example of living your best life.
I'm trying. I mean, I am trying. Well, I'm not even trying. It's just happening to me. I'm very lucky. I am very, very lucky. Yeah. At this age, growing old is the most amazing thing. It's an adventure and it's a privilege, and a lot of people don't reach this age, you know. So I don't want to complain about getting old and having a little bit of arthritis. I'm not going to complain about it. The alternative is being dead, and I don't want to be dead. I want to be what I am. And this is if you're not going to make the most of it now, when? People talk about having a bucket list. They want to jump out of an airplane. They want to go down the falls. I don't know. All I want to do is what I'm doing now. I want to make art. I want to have my beautiful tribe of color people around me. I want to help all the people I can. And I just want to stay alive. So that's my bucket list. Later, when I finish talking to you, I'll go and make something. It's like a drug, really. It is like a drug. When you're feeling terrible and depressed and the rest of the world, sit down and make something, draw something, paint something, glue something to something else. You get lost in it. It is literally, it just does something for your brain chemicals. It is the most wonderful thing in the world. That's it.
No, I agree, because I agree that art can actually like help with mental health. Like, I agree on that.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Junk,
life-changing. Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this. Keza's goodies, maybe. Junk is beautiful. Everything has meaning to someone. This is true. This is
Yeah.
true. But this
Yeah,
is true.
absolutely.
This is true.
Yeah, yeah. And we look at stuff and we see possibilities. You know, other people see something to throw away or to put in the recycling bin. We are our own recycling bin. Everything has possibilities. I just don't want anything that will give me a disease or cut me or really unhygienic. You can always wash things. I have a lot of friends who work with bones. They, you know, go down to the Thames. They have a license to go down mudlarking and they pull out stuff. So you have to bleach it. You have to clean it. You have to be careful of your health. But then, wow, you have treasure. You can't buy, or if you can buy it, maybe it'll cost hundreds and thousands of pounds. It's all free. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
I would like to ask you one last question. Is that what would you like to see in the art world? So something like that you haven't seen, maybe, or something that you would like to see more.
Well, I always want to see more so-called outsider art, and I want to see new outsider art by new outsider artists, and I want them to be noticed, and not necessarily noticed by the mainstream, but noticed by all the rest of us. I don't really understand the art world, and it's very commercial, and it's about money, and I just don't get it. It breaks my heart that one of my favorite dead outsider artists was Nellie Mae Rowe. I actually met her a few times back in Atlanta. And now, you know, her work and other dead outsider artists, their work is selling for hundreds of thousands of pounds, and they made nothing while they were still alive. I would like to see that change. I would like to see more recognition for the outsider artists who are alive and working now, the old ones, the young ones. I'd like everybody to have an understanding of outsider art. To me, that is the real art. I also love folk art, but it's the real art. It's the kind of art, there is no training. You kind of do your own training. It doesn't come from the head. It doesn't come from the heart. It comes from your gut. It comes right out. It's visceral. And when you look at it as an observer, you have a visceral reaction to it. I know it's a piece of art that I love. If I sort of break out into sweat, I start gasping. My blood pressure goes up. I'm very overexcitable about art. I've embarrassed many, many of my friends when we go to look at art together. I say, and you just have this completely physical reaction to it. And you should be having that kind of reaction when you're making it. And that's the kind of art I love. I love. And I'd like to see more of it. And I'd like to see a bigger appreciation of it.
I love that.
Trust your gut. Trust your gut.
Thank you so much for today. I appreciate it. It was amazing. I think I could spend like at least 3 hours more, but we can have a second part. It's okay. And I'm definitely coming to this Like,
I would love that. You'll love my flat. It's crazy and wild and wonderful, and it's full of stories. And you really have to come 4 or 5 times to hear all the stories. Otherwise, you'd be here forever. So I would love that. We will meet face to face next time, and
exactly.
anytime. It's fun to talk about myself, but you've been very, very, very indulgent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I love, you see, this is the amazing thing, like with what I've started with this page, because I feel Instagram, I mean, you see it, you're on Instagram, like how things are turning, like with social media, like it's all about like what you eat or what you drink or what you wear and how pretty you look with Instagram filters and this and that. But there's so many other things also that you can, like we would never have met otherwise. And it's amazing like what like social media can actually do besides all that side,
Yeah.
like the
No,
glass.
Instagram, for all its problems, we see each other, we see other people's art, we talk to each other, we support each other. It's the most amazing thing. It really is an amazing thing, and I would be very unhappy without it. My Instagram went down. There was a problem. It was locked. I wasn't shut out. I didn't do anything bad. But for about 5 days, I had no Instagram. I was bereft. I need to see art. I need to open Instagram every day and see all the art and see people's comments on my art, comment on their art, see what's happening. Yes, it's a wonderful thing. We make friends all over the world. It certainly helped during the lockdowns, really helped. So listen, you're so nice. Thank you. Thank you. You ask good questions. And all of you who ask me questions, thank you. I probably talk
Oh,
too much, but
no,
I've enjoyed it.
don't say that. People are coming. Everyone wants to come at the color walk. People are saying I will definitely come and say hello on Thursday. Stay safe. Have a great Christmas. Thank you for sharing. This was really inspiring. I want to come to January color walk too. Like people are coming in. It was so nice to hear you two talk. Thank you. Like people want to. There you see. There's gonna be a lot of people on that Thursday in January.
Okay, well, then this coming Thursday next week, the week after, I won't be there. I'll be spending the holidays with my husband. But after that, I'll be there on Thursdays. And the third Thursday, go to the flea market, buy things, support them. You'll always find something you want. And then the third Thursday, I'll see you at the color walk.
We will in January. The first one of 2022. There you go.
2022. God, we're living in the future, aren't we? I feel like I'm living in the future. Okay. Take care, honey. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely
Bye.
bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.